one of the best feature debuts of the 2010s, as well as one of my personal favourites. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, directed by Ana Lily Amirpour, drew heaps of acclaim for its fusion of genres and its upending of the traditional gender roles found in typical vampire and western movie fare. Marketed as the first Iranian vampire western, the film is aware of its status as a melting pot for ideas and styles. Now, I've seen this film 3 times in the past 2 months alone, and I'm just hoping to celebrate my love for this original take on the vampire genre by looking at how the film uses imagery to subvert the idea of assumed male control. Let's take a peek. In the film, we find the titular girl, played by Sheila Vand, as she preys upon men that do wrong in the fictional location of Bad City. However, we can read it as something more specific than this. For the majority of instances, the girl preys upon men that assume they have complete control over the world around them, including control over the women they encounter. The film uses predatory imagery and imagery of prey to highlight this during many scenes, to instill the idea that while these men may assume they're in charge, they actually don't have a clue that they're in the vicinity of a vampire and are basically the equivalent of food being played with before getting eaten. We can observe this in this scene, in which an angered Hussein shouts at the girl while she imitates his movements. While Hussein may feel in charge of the scenario, the predatory imagery of the girl says otherwise. Once we take a further look at the girl's ubaya and her striped shirt, we begin to realize that the girl is visually aligned with a cobra. Couple this with the fact that cobras are famous for closely following and mimicking their prey's movements before striking, and we now understand that Hussein should be a lot more wary when barking orders at this girl. This predatory imagery also extends to the film's geography, seen here in this shot of a boring oil well. The well is intentionally made out to resemble a fang, biting down into its prey. The film once again uses this predatory imagery to hint at something more, with this shot commenting on the predatory exploitation of Iran's oil supplies by other countries. We realize that this imagery can also be used to racket up a sense of romantic tension, seen here in the stunning disco ball scene. Subverting the typical first kiss advances seen in countless teen movies, the movie delights in the idea of Arash being completely unaware that he's sharing the room with a deadly vampire. As viewers, however, we're not only aware of this fact, but we're terrified by the lingering notion that the girl may attack him at a moment's notice. The fact that this image of the girl eyeing up Arash's neck evolves into a warm embrace not only works as a cathartic release of tension for the viewer, but a visually poignant character moment for the girl and Arash on screen. Moving to my favourite instance of this predatory imagery in the film, I bring you to the scene in Saeed the Pimp's home. I'm going to break down how Amirpour uses imagery and space to completely reverse the source of control in this scene as it plays out. Let's pay attention to the composition of the frame and the respective spaces that each character takes up at the beginning of the scene. We can pretty much draw a line across the screen, splitting the room into the prey zone and the predator zone. With Saeed, we see that he is imbued and surrounded by the image of the predator. This is his den. His couches are surrounded by images of tigers and cheetahs. He's got a tiger on his back. He's even got a tiger tattoo on his abdomen. Contrast this to the girl, and she's both physically and figuratively aligned with the image of prey. She's surrounded by the mounted heads of dead deer, and behind her we find a tank of small, docile fish. From the get-go, this scene uses imagery and space to establish a power dynamic, with Saeed as predator and the girl as prey. As the scene draws on, we find that Saeed relishes in his assumed control of the girl, showing off his body in front of her, completely unassuming to the fact that he is essentially dangling meat in front of a hungry lion. We watch as the girl slowly drifts into the zone of the predator, while Saeed reads this as her moving into place for him to prey on her. It is actually the girl who is moving into her natural position as predator in this situation. Now we find that the predator zone is inhabited by both characters, and one is a significantly larger threat. After the moment, yes, that moment, both Saeed and the viewer quickly realize who's really in charge here, and the true predator-prey dynamic is revealed in all of its bloody glory. Skip to the end of this scene, and what do we find? The girl moving freely within the zone of the predator, and Saeed's lifeless body lying just over the line into where he belongs. Saeed joins the deer in the realm of the prey, punished for assuming a natural control over the world and women around him. Hopefully you enjoyed this breakdown, and if this video leads to even one person enjoying A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night as much as I do, well then, that's a job well done in my books. So what are you waiting for? A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. If you haven't seen it, go see it. You've got that insight. Go watch it. I see you're not watching it. I can see you. You're looking at me. Go watch the film. Go. Now.